And welcome back. Let's do that again. Welcome back. We have ourselves a lovely series. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have the South Korean Terran player. He is seamless. He is Percival. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent, the other South Korean Protoss. It is ReBellioN. So I do. Oh, hold on. There we go. Just a couple of audio issues, but I do apologize for the late start. Don't really know what was causing it, but the issues have been resolved. We have some StarCraft for you here and now. Let's go. It is amazing. It's beautiful, and we didn't really miss out on too much. We did have Percival go for his Rax expand, actually going into his follow-up 1-1-1. Actually, sorry, it was a double gas opener. But nothing too crazy did occur in the start of the game. Both players just checking each other, both scouting each other as well. We had ReBellioN just try to delay the CC or just wreak a little bit of havoc here in the mineral line, but the Adept is going to be forced out. We do have ReBellioN going for a blink opener here as opposed to the Stargate. Feels good, man. Feels good. With this, he's going to be looking to gain some map control with those Stalkers. Reaper and Hellion are looking to dive past these units and rush into the main base to deal a little bit of damage, sure, but also to get a scout of the main. And there we go. Finally, Percival has eyes on what he is up against. But yeah, I do apologize for the kind of delayed start here to the game. One probe will go down. Oh, almost a second, but the Reaper does get cleaned up. And yeah, I'm really happy to cast these two players because honestly, I feel like they're pretty evenly matched. Percival, of course, more of an up-and-coming amateur Terran player. Likewise, ReBellioN, also a Korean up-and-coming amateur Protoss player. ReBellioN has been around for a long time, though, has been around for many more years. Percival is a little bit newer to the scene, as ReBellion's been competing since like 2014, and Percival from like 2020-ish era, 2019. So yeah, we'll see how they do compare to each other in current era of StarCraft. Do have a wood mine drop follow-up. Only a single probe goes down. The second mine does survive for the time being and is going to be kept up and tied up here in between the bases. Ooh, as back at home, Percival is just getting into the swing of things here. You know, we're getting into our 3 Raxes. As our Rax is just going to be waiting for an add-on swap. But we're getting into our 3-1-1 setup here in the main base for Percival. Meanwhile, across the map, ReBellioN did go for a 2-gate Blink Stalker opener. So this is a more economic variation here. We go into Blink, off of 2 gateways, into a fast third base. So very economic out of ReBellioN. Not going to be looking to be too aggressive at all. He's moving out his Stalkers just for map presence. But behind this, he's going into Colossi. We have the Bay on the way. We have additional gateways as well. ReBellioN getting away with quite a bit so far, especially because this mine drop hasn't done too much damage at all. Oh, feels bad, man. So yeah, as a result, it's going to be on Percival here to find some damage instead. For the time being, he is set up quite nicely on 2 bases. I don't know if he's going to actually throw down the third. We have +1 on the horizon. Marauders are being made, and we may be working towards a big committed 2-base push. Meanwhile, ReBellioN, he's going to be keeping an eye on this. He does have his Stalkers outside that natural, just making sure he does spot any kind of move out. The Observer is going to be headed towards the main base as well to get an eye on the production, and also whether or not there is a 3rd CC on the way. Observer does reposition. Meanwhile, Percival finally going to be breaking free, thankfully, as behind this, ReBellioN is getting fully saturated on 3 bases. The army does move out, does get the Observer. We're going to be getting our 3rd base on location. So Percival's just going to be taking this slow. Obviously, he can still push out and expand behind this, but it looks like he's going to be keeping his tanks at home and going for a double drop instead. Meanwhile, that 1 mine still here. Shout out to the discipline of Percival for just maintaining this 1 drop in between the bases, and has just been leaving it here the entirety of the game. At a certain point, I'm sure he will dive in, and we'll try and keep up with it. We'll try and see if it gets damage done. Oh no. As we have the blink, the medevac is going to go down. Mine shot will go off and take down the Stalker. Not a bad trade here. I kind of wish that it would have been lined up a little bit better with the double drop. As 1 drop gets cleaned up, now we have the double drop slipping into the main base. At the same time, the main army is pushing towards the 3rd. We do have a Warp, and Shield Battery is going to be going down. There is no overcharge available here. We're forcing a recall. No! And as we recall the main army, Percival is pushing on in. This 3rd base is so exposed. There is 1 Colossi remaining here, but only a single Colossi. It's not going to be enough. The Marauders, they push on forward. They can stim on top of the Colossi even if they really want to. If they think about it for a moment, they will back off. Reinforcements are on the way. Can he get the base? Oh, it looks like a tank is going to be going down. The second tank barely will survive as well, but with these Stalkers, it looks like ReBellioN should be able to force this back. Up, up! God, these Marauders are doing so much. There we go. They take down one of the Colossi, they stim on backwards, and it looks like ReBellioN should hold on to the third. But at the same time, that drop in the main, it's still going strong. It was actually not cleaned up. It actually kills the main base. The Nexus will go down. GG gets called. I myself was even hyper focused on that third base. I thought when the reinforcements came from the main, that meant that the main base was cleaned up, but no, that was not the case. Main base was on fire, and just like that, Percival takes a 1-0 lead in the series. GG. ReBellioN just being pulled apart. Initially, he was doing a decent job at splitting up his army, but last not towards the end there. I do think a lot of that comes down to the fact that Percival was able to snipe that shield battery really early on in the main base, so there was no overcharge, there was no support there for any kind of warping in units. If there was an overcharge and if the units were in a better position, then I'm sure we would have seen a different game entirely. Oh, GG. GG, well played. With that, we're getting into game 2, and this time we'll actually be able to see the beginning of it as well. We will not be interrupted, will not be slowed down. Thank God. Thank God. And I apologize for the technical issues that we had earlier, but they have been resolved. Sometimes it just happens where the game just doesn't capture, and it just takes a little bit to capture the game in OBS. I'm shaking my head. Shaking my head. GG. As we are getting into game number 2, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Neo Humanity, we have the South Korean Terran player representing himself. It is Percival, one of the 3 bears. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the other South Korean, but the South Korean Protoss, representing himself as well. It is ReBellioN. Let's go. Meanwhile, shout out to all the lovely people in the chat as well, joining us this fine evening for some KFC, for some KungFu Cup. Ordi, of course, Raubags, Emperor Fubul, Kudo, M4 Ersk, Mayorsk. Okay, I can't pop you. And Werehug was the first quacker as well. So thank you so much. To appreciate you guys dropping by as we get into this. Again, the bracket is very large, and we were kind of spoiled for choice. I was having a hard time picking and choosing where I wanted to go. I hope I don't regret my decision, as there are so many really good round 1 matches. One of the other big ones that really drew my attention was Demaga versus Wayne into Spirit. I would have loved to have jumped into that, but Demaga was MIA. Demaga wasn't quite there, so I don't know if he's going to get walkovered, or maybe he shows up a little bit later. But as a result, I didn't want the stream to wait too long, so we jumped on top of this TvP instead. And this has its own storyline as well, you know. I'm not saying that there's nothing behind this, but for Percival and ReBellioN, the winner of this series goes up against Ragnarok. The winner of that series will most likely go up against Oliveira. And we've been casting a lot of Oliveira recently. We've been casting a lot of him going up against some of the other big names in the Korean scene. But I'll be honest, I haven't had the luxury of casting Oliveira versus potentially Ragnarok. That's a potential, I think, quarterfinals match down here. So I'm very tempted. I love the idea of getting into that, and I want it. I want it in my life. But of course, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We still have this first series here of the evening, and we have our Terran player going into a 3-racks. Going a little bit old school here with the 3-racks. Does make plenty of sense on a map like Neo Humanity, because the rush distance is so short and so small. It won't take too long to race across the map here, at least for the Terran player. Meanwhile, across the map, ReBellioN once again is going for a Stargate opener. We'll see what kind of Stargate opener. Remember, last game he did go for a 2-gate into a 3rd Nexus, so a very economic variation. But on Neo Humanity, I expect ReBellioN to commit a little bit more and to throw down at least a 3rd, maybe even a 4th gateway. 4-gate Blink can have some success here just because the natural and the main base are so spread apart. But no, we have ourselves an all-in. Bapi, charge is on the way instead. No Blink whatsoever. Robo in production for, I imagine, the Prism, or even some detection as well. How many gates? That is the question. How many gates are we going to be seeing with this? How committed is ReBellioN going to be with this charge opener? Meanwhile, is going to be checking here. Is going to be checking the front door with his Adept, but doesn't quite see too much. Does confirm the racks as well as the reactor, but that isn't really too much. And there we go. 2 more gates to throw down. We have 4 gates in total for the time being. That's a pretty robust production, and again, this is going to be quite committed out of ReBellioN. But are we going to throw down more? That's the question. As the Adept is being forced back, we have a couple more though soon to join and help support the first Adept here to deal with all these Marines. The Marines are being forced back. The Prism is on the way. Production is being kicked in. Zealots are already being warped in as well, and ReBellioN is going to be rushing across the map with charge lots. Percival is none the wiser, but he's going for a 3 racks, so he already has a lot of bio. But he has to be careful because there's no medevac, so he has to be very tentative with how and when he decides to stim. Every stim counts here for Percival. Prism misses the army, is going to be slipping out across the map. What do we have at home to defend? A lot of Zealots, a lot of charge lots, and I think this is ideal for ReBellioN, to be honest. I mean, we can make use of the production. We can kind of take advantage of this choke point, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. The Zealots, they try to charge on foot, but they can't get past each other. Oh, they are stuck here in between the gateways. Every single Zealot is going to be going down. 3 of them do pull back in time, but alas, they will all fall here. Great use of the SimCity, using the gateways against ReBellioN. Every single unit is going to be going down. And Percival is getting out of hand. He's getting out of control. He's getting into the mineral line. Oof. 3 probes do go down. It could have been a lot worse, as we do see 3 Marines diving in towards the main base, picking up a couple more of these probes. The focus fire. Oh, 6 probes in total. Nicely done here by Percival. He's now ahead economically. He still has an army back at home. The Prism wasn't really made use of. We have 3 Zealots being warped in across the map, which is nice. But alas, it's going to be difficult to really do some counter damage. I mean, it looks like Percival may move out, but nah, never mind. His Marines are staying here in between the bases. He saw the Robo, which means he should be aware that a Prism is out on the map, especially off of a charge opener. And ReBellioN is going to try and pull Percival apart. Zealots going into the main. Zealots looking to maybe hit the natural at the same time. No, we don't quite go for it yet. Waiting for the opportune moment. Behind this, ReBellioN is going to try and take a 3rd base. And I don't blame him. Again, he has some catching up to do, and taking a 3rd is definitely a way to do so. He's also just rushing into Storm as well, looking for some splash damage. As the Prism tries to dip in, it does get forced back. Likewise, Zealots are going to be threatening the 3rd base. They will catch some transferring workers. Ooh, a lot of SCVs are going to be going down. A nice counter damage here from ReBellioN, especially if he doesn't lose too many of these Zealots, and he does pull every single one back. At the same time, the double job coming in across the map does force a recall. Yeah, there are just too many Zealots here. These Marines are going to have a hard time cleaning this up. They go for the stim. They do have +1. Ooh, and they're going to be able to take down a decent amount of those Zealots. No Storm yet, but they do have to respect the feedbacks. Now things will settle down. Percival sending reinforcements across the map. The double jump is trapped here in the top left. No way out. Not yet anyway. Ideally, Percival is able to somehow cause some havoc and force these Stalkers out of position. But we have Storm. We have Storm, Papi. We can push in, but we have to pull out. Oh god! 2 Storms connect with the army. A bit of a late reaction out of Percival as well, and he barely has any units remaining. He's going to try to rotate around, does force an Archon to be morphed in. Looking for another angle of attack, but alas, there is Zealots at every turn. Some nice kiting, some nice stutter stepping. Beautiful micro here from Percival. Mine shot's going to be going off. 3 Zealots do go down. So again, good trades overall from Percival. We can't really get much more than that. Again, the power of the storm is just a little bit too great. Percival has to respect that. And yeah, instead he's going to be sending some reinforcements towards the right-hand side. Oh, okay. We do load up the High Templar. I was a little bit concerned that we were going to be moving out at the wrong time, but here we go. The High Templar are safe from those EMPs. The ghosts have arrived. How good can they land them? Oh, we do connect on one of those High Templar, but there's still 2 left. The Marauders, they still on forward. The Prism! One more High Templar gets sniped. There's only 1 Templar left. Only 1 Storm remaining. And 1 is all you need. Oh, never mind. The EMP is too good. 0 storms left. Percival reinforcing on the left-hand side. Now is the moment to strike. But he doesn't know that. Not yet. 4th base is going to be going down. Quite vulnerable. Hopefully we get a cancel, not a kill. Oh, that was a kill. Not a cancel. 400 minerals down the drain. Percival, he can keep on pushing. Meanwhile, ReBellion's out of position. We're going for a base trade. It's too late to turn around. Mine shots go off. There was a mule there. 3rd base is under threat. The natural as well. The onus is on ReBellioN to do some more damage. He can always recall. Bear that in mind. He does have a recall available. Oof. But the 1 storm is not going to be good enough. We are forced to morph in some High Templar. The natural mineral line is falling. We're actually getting a lot of SCV kills, but more boys are being pulled, and we are cleaning up the army. Percival knows that all he has to do is deal damage or clean up those High Templar and the Archon, and that's all he has to do. GG gets called. And Percival takes the series 2-0. Ah, GG, papi, GG. GG, well played. A wonderful showing here from Percival. This is why I do love casting him, is he is a very active player. As you saw, he's very micro intensive as well with his units, just diving in whenever he could, going for the snipes, going for the sims, stutter stepping, kiting quite well. Again, he's a very active player, and I can always really appreciate that as well. So very well done there by Percival. GG, well played. And he'll be advancing on into the next round, where he's going to be facing his next opponent. I mentioned him earlier. Oh, it is going to be Ragnarok. I should let him know.